Hello and welcome.
Today we're talking about Echoplex style tape delay. Wait, shouldn't you be practicing social distancing? Yes we should, and yes we are. The videos that you're watching were filmed long before the social distancing measures suggested by many governments. Dan and I were lucky enough to get a load of stuff in the can. So our thoughts go out to everyone who's affected by COVID-19, physically, mentally, financially, any combination of all of that, or indeed in any other way. It's a really weird time for everybody, so rest assured that we're thinking about you, and hopefully that pedal show can provide a little bit of respite and a little bit of distraction while we're all going crazy stuck in our houses. It will be over soon enough. Okay, meantime, get some great tones, play guitar, and we'll see you back to normal, hopefully pretty soon.
Righteous. So righteous.
Yeah, the potentially unmistakable sound of tube echo.
Hey guys, welcome to that pedal show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello. Boy, have we got some ambition today.
We do. Right, you need to turn Mick's massive clock on.
Yes, oh yeah. People don't believe I have a massive clock. But
the stories are true.
The stories are true.
Okay, we're away.
I'm going to get it out now for everyone to see.
There we go.
That wasn't breaking glass, it was my keys. There you go. Just so we don't go too much over time. I love those comments. Hey man, too much talking. Not enough playing.
You guys talk too much. I'm out of here. Yeah. Okay, right.
Welcome
plans,
if you're on you.
Yeah. Plans today.
Tape delay. As you know, we've just done a video, or I say just, maybe it was a couple of weeks ago now, a few weeks ago, possibly even, where we had the Fulltone tube tape echo, and we really got into that. We had Dan's old Hiwatt tape echo. We had two versions on the Roland RE-201 Space Echo, the original Roland unit, and also the newer EchoFix unit, just to orientate ourselves a little bit about tape echo, tape delay. We didn't use some of the more European type units, Miazzi, Watkins, Wem, all that. Maybe that's another day. For this, we focused in on this. So what we're going to do is drill down a little deeper into that now, and we're specifically talking about the Echoplex type sound. We do not have an EP3. So
we do not.
We'll say that right from the top. Most delay pedals that you see out there are inspired by the EP3. This is an EP2 remake by Fulltone, so it does sound different, but hey, we'll state that at the top. Everything is fine. Ambitious.
Ambitious. Because this is part 1 of 3.
Yeah, so today we're going to get through all this. Part one, which we'll get into very shortly, is Dan and I are going to go through these tape echo simulating pedals on the board and pick a favourite. Quickly. We're not going to get into secondary functions. We're just going to play them a little bit, and we're just going to choose arbitrarily one that we think that we bond with the most in the shortest time.
Okay.
Yep. So please don't be expecting a full deep dive into each of these pedals. This is not that, but it will at least give you a chance to hear them. Part two, what's a tape delay actually doing? And Dan's got something up his sleeve that's going to blow your mind. So we're going to get that out along with our two favourites. And then in part three, the last bit is let's compare them all and see where we are. And really the overriding question is, if you want to sound like tape, do you need that?
Yeah.
Or can you use one of these? Can you use something else? Is that fair?
That's really good. That's really good. Yeah, cool. Okay.
Dan, play the Fulltone. Let's hear it.
Just days and days and days.
I did put my hand up, but you missed it.
Sorry, what did I do?
It's quite all right. I was just going to say what the amps are.
Oh, okay.
Matchless HC30 on the matchless cab and a Marshall 9787X Plexi 50 watt. What a majestic sound. I mean, it's awesome.
It's incredible.
If you want to know more about that, watch the last video.
Yes.
Yep,
great.
Let's get into these pedals.
Yep.
Shall we go left to right, Daniel?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
Disaster Transport them.
Okay.
It's very appealing. We're probably underselling the Disaster Transport a bit because it is a two-sided delay with reverb as well, so you can get into some really ethereal things like two head, for example. But we're only talking about single head today. So as it is...
Sounds great.
I'll just turn on delay beat just a quick second. Yes.
Awesome.
We're supposed to be limiting ourselves to single heads, but with a dual head, that does sound pretty spectacular.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
What I don't know, which I will just check, is whether there's any tone control on those repeats.
Oh, okay.
You heard me affect the modulation a bit. Key part of tape delay sound as it gets older and worn is the mechanical effect of the tape wearing gives you modulation and the heads and all of that in the machine. So I don't believe we can change any... It's not immediately obvious that there's any tone control on the repeats.
Okay.
So, but that does sound really lovely.
Sounds gorgeous.
You hear how it just goes off in the
repeats.
The repeats.
Yep. Lovely, lovely.
So you get that, what you wouldn't get in a digital delay, you get some high-end roll-off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Belly Epoch Deluxe.
Now, we know this one quite well. We've been using this for a long time. This was a mainstay on your board for a long time.
Yeah, and probably will be again. Interesting, what we introduce now is a couple of extra controls. First and foremost, the Belly Epoch Deluxe does much more than an EP3 recreation. It does some Memory Man stuff and some other things, but we've got it in mode 1 at the moment, which is the EP3 straight-up tape echo.
Okay.
One of the things that's particularly nice about this is it replicates a couple of controls that you find on the Fulltone, one of which is the drive to the tape.
Yes.
So you can drive the tape a bit and get it dirtier.
Yep.
So have a play, Dan.
It's so good.
It's spectacularly good.
Yeah, it's so good.
And the other thing you get from the Belly Epoch Deluxe is the preamp, right? So one of the key factors which we talked about in the last video was how the preamp stage of the tape delay is as important as the delay sound itself.
Absolutely.
We just hear that a sec. I'll turn the delay repeats to nothing. By the way, if you're wondering how we're getting reverb out of either of these amps, neither of which have reverb, we've got the Rockett Mr. Moto in the loop of the Marshall. The worst sounding loop in the world, which is actually sounding all right.
Great.
Just to give us a bit of,
Love.
Okay, so there's no echo coming out of the Belly Epoch Deluxe at the moment. I'm just going to turn it on and off so you can hear the preamp.
It's warm and there's a tiny little bit of crunch in there as well. Yeah.
It has a fattening effect and a tiny bit of top end roll off.
Right.
In the last video, we showed you what the difference is in the Fulltone. In fact, let's just hear it for 2 secs, Dan. If you turn the delay volume down to 0.
Okay, volume down to 0.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have moaned in the past that the Belly Epoch Deluxe changes the tone too much.
Right.
It doesn't change it as much as that does. So I retract my previous annoyance with the Belly Epoch Deluxe, because whether you're talking about an EP2 or an EP3, it does change the sound.
Sure.
Pretty radically.
Yeah.
Okay. El Cap.
El Cap.
There are a bunch of secondary functions in the El Cap where you hold down the 2 switches and twiddle the knobs to get other things like more tape degradation,
bias, and
tape bias, level boost or cut, so you can go for a bit more preamp if you want it. Cool. It's very nice. Very nice indeed. Is cleaner sounding than either of the other two so far.
Yeah.
Sort of more higher fidelity, I would say. Echoes. So there's a bit of modulation in there.
Yep.
Very nice. Can I just hear how the repeats go off?
That's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, because what you're not getting, for those of you not necessarily familiar with the tape delay and how it works or the roll off, in a digital delay, in a digital delay, you just get exactly the sound of your guitar repeating and getting quieter.
Yep.
With this, there's an element of variability in that. And what's nice about the echoes there is that not every repeat is the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of wobbling and warbling on the way down, which is kind of what the Bell Epoch Deluxe is doing a little bit as well with its modulation and the Disaster Transport and the El Cap if you want it with the wow and flutter. And it's just how much of that degradation you want. The interesting thing about that, which we talked about in the last video, was that a brand new tape in a well-functioning tape machine won't do that.
No, it's really clean. It's loads of fidelity. Yeah, it's
so instead of having this wonderful variability on how your repeats modulate, you basically into finding your window of tape and headwear.
So when we first turned on the EchoFix, and it was like, I mean, it was gorgeous. It was like, where's all that crazy movement and stuff that you get? You know, we're so used to getting from the pedals. It's like, no, actually, that's what they sound like.
It's clean.
It's really clean. Yeah.
All right. We've just done a pedal jams that talks about this, the J-Rockett APE. So we won't explain it in detail here, but what it is an EP style preamp with a loop into which you can put your favorite delay of choice. We have chosen very deliberately a simple, super simple, cheap, cost-effective delay from TT Electronic, the Flashback. What we've done is we've created a preset using the TC Tone Print Editor, which you can just download for free and use on a PC or a Mac. And we've created a tone print that is a clean digital delay.
Yes.
Based on the 2290.
Right.
Kill dry.
So
it has no dry.
Yep.
All you're hearing is one repeat, and I've put a tiny, tiny bit of chorus modulation on it.
Nice.
That sits in the loop of this. So
right.
If we just hear the APE a sec.
Just, alone, already awesome.
The APE has a very, very close replica of the Echoplex preamp, the 22.5 volt thing. It has that on that switch.
Right.
Please watch the pick and mix that we did. We don't call it pick and mix anymore. We call it
pedal jams.
Pedal jams. Please watch the pedal jams we did, where we deep dive into that if you want to know more about it. So you hear the preamp, then you switch the loop of the delay on. One repeat. Keep going. And then if you want to change the time, we've set all the delays up to have a similar repeat time.
Delay time.
Yeah. So keep going down. I'm just going to affect that a little bit more.
Okay.
just to make the point that we didn't touch the delay at all.
Yeah.
All the delay is doing is giving one repeat and the APE is doing the rest.
And I'll explain how they do that in a little bit later on.
Presently. Not bad. 19 minutes down. I think we're going to do this.
Doing great.
Echoplex. Dunlop. The Dunlop group owns the Echoplex trademark. Hence, it's on that pedal. Just to prove the point, this Echoplex does not have the EP style preamp in it.
Right.
Which we heard in the Bell Epoch Deluxe. You can boost the L cap and the APE has it specifically.
Sure.
So I'm just going to turn the Echoplex on and off with no echo level.
Okay.
So that, please tell me you've got some signal. No.
So it's just the flavour of the repeats.
Yeah, there's no obvious preamp coloration or boost or anything.
I like that cup.
It's a nice cup, isn't it?
It's lovely.
Imagine if you could buy this from that pedal show store.
Imagine.
Wouldn't it be great? Oh. And a tasty beverage to boot.
Very good.
Yeah. Imagine how happy you could be. That pedal show Stompio Continua mug from thatpedalshowstore.com.
For a whole tone.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Right. Last but not least is
the
Empress tape delay. so interesting.
Yeah.
Did you have an obvious favourite?
I had obvious things about them that I liked. It would be quite hard for me to pick a favourite, but there are things that were stand out about certain.
Because I think some of them sound more like we're not trying to make it sound exactly like the Fulltone. Let's get that said.
Yep.
Some of them sound closer to the Fulltone. Some of them have higher fidelity.
Yes.
And kind of more modulation and obvious bells and whistles, which I think is really interesting.
Yep.
Which one do you think sounded closest straight up?
Bell Epoch.
Yeah, me too.
Killer. Just like
the EQ curve
nailed it.
is much closer.
Really, really good.
Which sounds least like the Fulltone?
With the L cap.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's not forget that there are secondary functions and things, so you might be able to get in and edit a bit more.
Yep.
The Echoplex reminded me very much of the EP3, because the EP3, surprise, surprise, has much higher fidelity,
Sure.
or has higher fidelity than the EP2, which is what the Fulltone is based off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I make a call?
Yes.
And say, let's discount the disaster transport,
Okay.
because unless you wanted to pick it as your favourite.
No.
No, because I think the added head and the reverb and everything else in that, we're doing it a disservice by putting it in this comparison.
Sure.
It does
And
sound
it does
incredible, and I really,
Yeah.
really like it.
Right.
I wonder if it might sit better alongside some analog delays and some multi-featured other things.
Okay. But I still think it sounds awesome.
Spectacular.
And the reason I wouldn't choose that one wouldn't be because of any sonic
No.
shortcomings, because it sounds amazing.
No. And when you put in that side B, it
it's-
becomes really spectacular.
Yeah.
In fact, I can see a future for that pedal in a different environment. All right. So we're sticking with the ones that are overtly tape delay.
Sure.
It's the moment of truth, Dan. You've got to pick one to go forward.
Okay. I've got one. Are we both going to pick the same one, I wonder?
Don't know. I want to pick the Empress
Right.
for two reasons.
Okay.
One is the switches on the top make perfect sense to me,
Yes.
because I can manipulate all the things I want to manipulate quickly and easily.
Okay.
I want to pick the Bell Epoch because of the preamp. So, what about you?
I was going to pick the Empress.
You're going to pick the Empress. Okay, I'll pick the Bell Epoch, and then we're
We're good to go.
unanimous, aren't
Okay,
we?
yeah. Okay.
Which is not to say, let's say this now, which is not to say these other pedals don't sound stellar. The reason we've chosen them is because they all sound stellar.
Yeah.
Particularly that sounds unbelievably good.
Yeah.
But they have additional functionality that I think we're not going to be getting into today, because we're talking about a single head tape machine.
Yep.
That is glorious.
Yeah.
But it has a different kind of fidelity.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have the preamp.
Yep. Now, for what we're looking at today, I thought I think they're both the right ones for the rest of this.
Okay. 28.
28 minutes
we
in.
said 30. That's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Right. We'll be back in 2 shakes of a modulated lamb's tail. Yes.
Okay. And we're back in the room. I was a little late then. It didn't feel quite right.
That's unlike you, Dan.
I'm so early. Okay.
Okay, part 2.
Part 2.
Part 1, we looked at some of the leading tape delay emulators on the market currently. You just watched that. Part 2, what's this, Dan?
This is my Lego version of a tape delay. Shall I go through it?
I think you better.
Okay, so let's look at what happens in an actual tape machine. The signal goes in and hits a preamp.
Yep.
All right? Now, that preamp then, it splits. You've got a parallel signal path, all right? And the other signal path is what gets affected, okay?
So that is what we're talking about. When we talk about analog drive-through,
Yep.
we're saying that half the signal, one path of the signal goes straight through and comes out the other end.
Exactly.
Albeit affected by a preamp.
It gets mixed in
Yep.
to the other side.
Yep.
And the other side is where you have that gets affected. So that hits the tape heads, and then that gets. So actually, the first thing it does, it hits a thing called a compander. And what that does is the compander is an old way of reducing noise in a circuit. It reduces the dynamics of the signal going to the tape, or you use it in analog delays and digital delays have it as well. Anyway, it reduces the dynamics of the signal so that you get maximum amount of the signal to the tape, to the processor, to the bucket brigade chip, and then once that's done, on the other side of that you have the expander, which reverses, sort of decodes the information and brings it back where it was. The whole idea with that is to reduce the noise floor. But what happens is the compander adds character.
Yeah,
right?
Because it's in this case an analog circuit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. Then you got the tape compression. That's another part of it. And then that all gets mixed back at the end with the original signal. Okay? So basically I've taken all those components from here and tried to replicate them, that's a new one, with pedals.
Yeah.
Right? Because also we've got so I'll take you through it. We've got the EP booster as the preamp.
Yeah.
Right? I know it's not an Echoplex preamp. It's an Echoplex flavor.
It's a preamp.
It's a preamp,
Yeah.
right? And then we've got the wetter box that's splitting our signal to give our parallel delay lines, right? Then we have our compressor.
Our comp bit of the compander.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And also, this is also going to be doing our tape compression as well.
Yeah.
Right? So, 2 for 1 there.
Yeah, you send a signal to the tape and the tape itself compresses.
Exactly.
Yep.
Then we have, now from there, that hits our delay. Now, this delay, it's 100% wet, okay? And we just have one repeat, all right? So what I'll do, if I turn this on so that you can hear it, I'll turn everything else off.
Yep.
And all you'll hear is one repeat, no dry signal. Right, ready? Okay. Right.
Some small part of me is amazed that actually worked first time.
Okay.
So the delay is your record and play heads.
Yeah. So now this is exactly what happens with any delay circuit. The delay, it just delays that signal, right? So you don't hear the original signal. It's just a delay of that signal.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we've also got the diamond vibrato on there because we need to replicate a bit of movement, all right, from the tape and from the motor.
Yeah. So the movement in a tape machine is created by aging tape, worn heads.
Yep.
The machine not functioning at its optimum.
The motor, the stretching around, the moving of the tape, all that stuff.
Physical things, right? This is not electronic. It's physical things, but we have to recreate it electronically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we have the filter, all right, and which recreates the loss that you get from the tape. So we're going to recreate that with an EQ.
Yeah.
But then what happens with that circuit is you have to have a way of feeding the signal from the output of that back to the input of the...
Because it's not just a parallel line that gets mixed at the end, it gets fed back to the input.
So your feedback knob, that is the knob that controls the amount of signal that goes back to the input. So I've done that.
Which is why only one repeat works, because it gets fed back.
Exactly.
Which is exactly how that works.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So I've done that. I've split and then resummed the signals, and I've got this controlling the amount of level that is being fed back to the input. Okay.
So that, give or take, is what's happening not only in a tape delay, but in a delay circuit.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Exactly. If you've got a Zoya and you build up your Zoya delay, this is how you'll do it.
That's the bits that you add.
That's the bits that you add.
You could add more bits if you wanted, but these are the bits we've added to get somewhere close to this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to start with our original signal, which is this. Going to add our preamp. So now that goes to everything. That goes to the tape, and that goes, you know, that's the preamp affects everything. Okay, all right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off the original signal, and we're just going to go over to the delay signal.
Okay.
Okay. So here we go. Delay signal only.
It's so hard. It's so hard to play an only wet signal.
All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our tape compression and our compander to the circuit.
Okay.
Okay, you feel the difference already though? That
I can hear the compression massively.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Just turn it on, off and on a sec.
Okay. Groovy?
Yep.
All right. So now what we're going to do, we can hear our single repeat. We're going to then add a little bit of movement.
Yep.
Okay. So let's turn on the vibrato.
I just wanted to prove that it was actually happening.
Okay.
We've just got it set very subtly.
Right. Now what we need to do is add our filter. Now this is really interesting because what happens, I'll first show you what happens without the filter,
Yep.
right, with the repeat. So I'm going to now introduce that signal back to the input, and I just want you to play one note so that we can hear the repeats.
Yep.
Okay, so. So because we don't have any filters there, it's the same signal, right?
Yep.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter
The repeats.
the repeats. So what I'll do, let me get rid of loads of bottom end.
And bearing in mind, we're only hearing the wet signal. You're only filtering the repeat. You're not filtering the dry through.
Because we're going to mix this all back into the dry through in a
into the
minute.
end.
All right. So
Okay.
here's our non-filtered delay sound. Here's our filtered delay tone. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to reintroduce that signal.
Yeah.
All right. And you'll hear what happens to the repeats. Go on. So because it gets filtered and then filtered again and filtered again, and that's what's changing,
Yeah.
giving our loss, you know.
Because it's coming back through and back
So
through.
we can shape that.
Let's not skip over the modulation there. That is
No,
beautiful.
isn't that amazing?
Would you mind just turning the modulation off?
That's so very, very cool.
So this is basically what's happening in your delay pedal that's this big. All these things are just replicated with components and
Yeah,
in the
just in
circuit.
parts of the circuit.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So now what we're going to do is we're going to reintroduce. I'm going to go back and turn on
The dry
the
sound.
dry sound. And we're going to blend our delayed signal back in on top of our dry sound. So one repeat. So now when I turn up our repeats,
That is epic. With a caveat, we are stepping here into really good analog delay here, aren't we?
yeah, because we're not you can't change the physical process and not change the outcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is because we're not using tape here, we're using a digital delay, but what we are doing is we do have the compression, we do have the modulation, we do have the filtering on there.
Yeah.
You know. So this is basically what's going on when someone's designing a really, really good digital delay, but using these components.
So while we've got the dry sound in then, would you mind I'll just play something simple again. Could you turn like the filter on and off, the modulation on and off, and the compressor on and off, so we can, and then maybe build it up from the start so we can hear what's happening?
What we need to do is start with a absolutely dry digital delay.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'll start adding those elements in as we go.
As dry as your nun's wine glass.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Chapeau, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Because that is not uncomplex, is it?
No, but it's not. But
creating that feed, creating the two lines easy enough, parallel, but then feeding the other one back in. Was the challenge.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah. But the cool thing is, you can hear. I mean, look, we've got some awesome pedals there that do some really cool things.
Well, we added it up, didn't we? How much is that? 350 quid? 300 quid?
Yep.
250?
Yep.
550, another 100 maybe.
Yep.
650, another 250. What's that? 900. 1,050. 300 for the letterbox.
No, 200.
200.
Yeah.
1,250. 1,450. Some other gubbins underneath. 300
15,
quid. 1,700. 600 for the pedal board. It's a £2,300 delay pedal. Makes that look cheap, doesn't it?
But you can, because we've got, so you've mentioned these are the components.
Yeah.
And we've chosen really good components. And it sounds epic. One other thing that's worth pointing out is you're talking about the record level on your Echoplex.
Yeah.
Sorry, your TTE. And it's a really big part of that sound. But we can replicate that with how much compression and gain that we build into with the compressor. So if you play this for me. So that's going to be reproducing our tape saturation, you know, and now we're going to filter that again. And I can then bring that level down here. Giving us a different character. So now again, if I put the, before I put the modulation on, let's just have a listen to the tape compression with the filter and the rest of the delay. It's so good.
We are definitely straying strongly into analog delay territory there, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, it is. If you imagine, all that we're missing from that equation here really is that there's a bucket brigade device here. But this is like a really crazy expensive digital delay with all the, with all the components that you need to get as close to this to reproduce all the things that are going on the side here.
Well, I guess for part 3 then, we need to hear this.
Yep.
Against our 2 favourites. And that.
Okay.
We're back.
And we're back in the room.
I just want to say one thing before we do this comparison.
Yes.
This is insane. However, a bit like we demonstrated with the APE and the Flashback earlier, you get the point, right? There, you could affect your favourite delay in a similar way. It's not going to be the same thing because you can't split the signal, etc., etc. But there are ways of affecting your favourite delay to make it slightly different. Anyway, this is insane. So we decided that the Belle Epoque Deluxe and the Empress, were our thing. Let's get a beautiful sound on the Fulltone, shall we? To begin with.
There you go.
I thought the big guns better come out for this.
It's the one to beat. It's ridiculous.
All right, I'll pick one then. You wanted the Empress, didn't you? So
Yep.
I'll have the belly puck.
Okay.
So see how close you can get me then.
Okay.
Pretty close. A little bit less level, which I hope is this one, and a little bit more drive onto the tape.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny bit slower on the full tone,
Mm-hmm.
and a tiny bit more echo repeat. Yeah, I'll do. Level. Not bad.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think there's more fidelity in the Belly Puck Deluxe.
Yes, there is, yeah.
Which, as far as I'm concerned, is no bad thing.
Sure.
Bonkers.
Try that one.
Can you get closer with this one then?
Let's have a go. Okay. Go for me.
It's not a million miles straight away. See, we're stepping into analog delay there.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening with the full tone. Yeah. So the preamp is fuller in that.
Yeah.
So it's just EQ at that point.
Yeah.
But I tell you what. Okay, before we do the Empress then, just two things. We are having to hit that compressor really hard to get that amount of tape saturation,
Yeah.
which might suggest that that tape is worn.
Maybe, or it's just really cool.
Or that it's hitting it pretty hard in
Yeah.
there as it is. I mean, it is hitting it pretty hard. What's the level to the tape like? About 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah,
bang on
so
2
it is hitting it pretty hard.
Yeah.
One final thing, I just want to turn the delay time down a sec on here. That is borderline the best delay sound we've ever had in here, isn't it?
It's really good. It's really good.
Oh man, that is amazing. Right, Daniel. Je suis tweakaroo, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Empress then.
Yeah.
Gagny.
Let's rock.
Just play one note a sec so I can hear.
Is it wrong of me to say that I preferred that?
I think you prefer it because it sounds more like an analog delay.
Right, okay.
I think it's doing more of that self-oscillation thing that you would associate more with analog than tape.
But what I'm also hearing, I think the preamp in this is unbelievable.
It's pretty sexy, isn't it?
It's incredible. And especially
it's all valve, by the way.
If you're digging in with the chord thing.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. And I think I'm getting a little bit more of that flavour with the EP Pre than with the, what's coming with the tape delay.
Yeah, well, let's remember then that the EP is a preamp and there's a preamp in that. So just finally, we'll turn the delay loop off in the APE.
Yep,
and
just
feed the APE
yeah.
into
Good
the
shout.
into the Empress. So let's hear the Empress. One more thing, if you unplug the loop from the APE, we did cover this in the pedal jams. If you unplug the loop from the APE, the controls offer you something else on the other side.
Okay.
Sorry. I apologise to Simon for the masking. So now the flashback has been taken out of the APE, even though we didn't have it turned on.
Mm-hmm.
But check this.
That's so good. Man.
The masking should tell the story, but what was happening there was I turned the APE on, and in the other side of the APE, if you don't have the loop engaged, gives you more preamp, gives you basically treble boost.
Right.
So we were using the APE to hit the Empress, because remember the Empress doesn't have its own preamp, in the same way that we're using the EP booster to hit this crazy contraption, in the same way that the Fulltone has its own preamp, and I was pushing the guitar volume up, so the Fulltone is now overdriving quite considerably the way Jimmy Page used it.
Epic fun.
Indeed. I think we've covered a lot of ground today. This is a long show. Apologies for that. Again, if you feel like saying, oh man, you didn't really get into the El Cap, it's the best sounding one of the bunch. It's not really the point of today's show.
Yeah.
It's just we chose two at random quickly, the ones we instantly bonded with, and so please don't be offended by that if you own any of these other pedals.
They're all amazing.
Sound spectacular, and I cannot wait to get into the Disaster Transport a bit more.
Yeah.
But blimey O'Reilly, so we compared some, we picked a couple. Dan created a crazy tape stroke analog delay hybrid using this, and then we compared it to that. I don't know, what's the conclusion? What are you feeling?
I'm feeling that this rules all. This needs to have a little crown.
Pretty spectacular, isn't it? But then you don't get the tweakability of these other things, so you can't affect the modulation.
Of course, and what I was saying before about there are certain things in the other pedals that really connected with me. Like there's something in the repeats and in the modulation and the repeats and that is like awesome.
Yeah.
There is, what was the other one? There's the preamp in this.
Yeah.
I just thought it was gorgeous. And has actually more fidelity than the preamp in the...
Yeah. Bear in mind, of course, it's an EP3 style, not an EP2 style, so you would expect that.
You would expect that. But then, just hearing this on its Todd and playing those big chords into it, it's a revelation. Magnificent. Yeah. So anyway, it's an idea that there's, it's not just about the filter, about the way they repeats. There's so much more going into it.
Yeah.
The preamp, the way that the level hits the tape and all that stuff, it all plays a big part.
It completely changes the way you play as well. Like at the end there where we had the short delay and I was playing with a bit more drive in the D&M drive, that it was just coming out in a way that I was struggling with before and other. So it's about being inspired by the sound.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope this episode is perhaps not just about what can you do to sound a bit like a tape delay and how crazy can you go to try and replicate that. It's also a bit of a delay education in terms of what's actually happening to the repeats of your delay. So if you buy your Flashback Mini or your Boss D, what are they called? DD8, the new one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or your Empress Zoya.
Whatever it is, there's a lot of people that can't get past it because it's just the exact sound of what you put into it delayed, and that's a bit. So when you mess it up by overdrive, by modulation, and by filtering, it's a totally different thing.
It's a whole new world.
Too cool, mate. Well done.
To you.
That was really, really good fun.
That was brilliant. It's brilliant. Cheers, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Also, massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is
Anderton's Music.
And in Australia
would be Pedal Empire.
Yes. And also, a massive thank you to everyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and grab yourself T-shirts and
D&M drive, strings, journals, pencils, hoodies, all kinds of things. Please go there, spend money. It's what funds this show.
Yes. And also, massive thank you to our patrons on Patreon. Really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, if we don't see you beforehand, we'll see you on Monday where we get to chat about this stuff.
Yeah, and then let's do all this with an RE-201.
Yes. Awesome. Cheers, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.